It is day 79 and Rocky Run shelters I should say. There's an old shelter down over there and the newer shelters over that way. And there's these tent pads here which are really nice because they had these benches. I was set up right there. It would have been great except for the fact I got here last hour of my hike yesterday. Bad thunderstorm. I got absolutely soaked, which wasn't bad because it was so hot and humid it felt good actually. And then I got to the shelter and there was just 3 people here, but it seemed like the thunderstorms had moved on, so I decided to tent. I seem to always sleep better in my tent. Don't have to worry about snoring or people rustling and moving around. It's hard enough to sleep as it is out here, for me anyway. And so I set up my tent, had some dinner, and then another thunderstorm rolled through, a really bad one too, for like an hour. I was dry, but tent got wet, some mud splatter on it, etc. But it actually didn't rain anymore all night, so it could have been worse. It's still a little bit wet and muddy, but not too bad. So I'm not sure how far I'm going today. It's about 6:30 or so. So we'll just see how it goes and see what the trail brings. So as it turns out, I don't think I made such a poor choice in tenting out last night. When I came down the hill, you saw where I was tented, but when I came down the hill to the shelter to get my bear bag off the pole, yes, in Maryland, and I think it was Virginia too, they have bear poles. So you take this long metal rod with a hook on it and take your bear bag and hang it up on this tall pole that also has a hook on it, which is nice because it's a lot easier than having to throw a rope over a tree and hang a bear bag on your own. So it's a nice convenience. But anyway, I came down the hill. There's sort of a view. When I came down the hill from where I tented, I bet there were 8 or 10 people that slept in the shelter and another probably 5 or 6 tents around the shelter, which I'm not sure why. They didn't look like very good tent sites. I guess they didn't notice or didn't want to come up the hill to where I was tented. You saw there's a lot of tent sites up there with those benches. So while I got a little bit wet, or I didn't, the tent got wet and a little bit muddy. It was, after the rain stopped, at least quiet and peaceful, which I don't think it would have been down in the shelter or around the shelter. And then always in the morning, I'm usually one of the first people up, and I'm always a little conscious of making a lot of noise when I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Generally, people aren't really up yet, even though they say, you know, it's fair game once it gets light out. And it's really getting light out around 5:30. But anyway, it didn't seem like it turned out too poorly for me where I was. And that spot all to myself, and nice and quiet. Power lines. Hopefully this isn't the only view of the day. Can't shake this dude. Looks like he's been napping all night and he still jumped way ahead of me. Welcome to Washington Monument State Park, where the first completed monument to honor George Washington. There you can see where I am. Right there. And the monument is that way, I think right on the AT. But first, do they have a working water fountain, more importantly? Yes, not great, but working. Well, now I looked at all those milestones in George Washington's life. I got to see the monument, even though it's not right on the AP. I'll let you pause it if you want to read the history. As you saw before, the first completed monument honoring George Washington. Not much of a view today with the haze and absolutely zero view. Oh, that's too bad. I bet it is. I bet it's an awesome view. That saves me going up in the tower. Erected in memory of Washington, July 4th, 1827. The citizens of Boonesboro. Cool. I'm just about to cross I-70, obviously in Maryland. And I was just trying to think of all the different major interstates that I've either walked under or over. In no particular order: 66, I think 74, I-81 a couple times. Probably missing a couple too, but there you go. I-70. South Mountain. Lots of padlocks. That's right, I'm remembering with the padlocks, the symbol of showing your love, something like that. And I forget the famous bridge. I think it's in Florence, Italy, right? There you go, this is in the shape of a heart. The famous bridge, I think in Florence. There you go, in the shape of a heart. Nick and Kieran. Yeah, the famous bridge in Florence, where they had so many padlocks. I think maybe that's where it started. So many padlocks, they eventually had to remove all of them because they were worried about the integrity of the bridge, I think, from the weight of all the padlocks. He's not venomous. This is snake number 6, I think. I don't think I can walk and film this. Maryland suddenly just got rocky. I had heard that there was a stretch like this, that there's just boulders and nowhere to walk. I'm going to turn this off before I do kill myself. I don't know if you can hear me over the rushing creek here, which I don't even think it was a creek. Probably half an hour ago. It absolutely poured rain. Every time I think I can't get any wetter, I find a new level. I'm wet places, I don't know if you can tell. I'm wet places I didn't know could get wet. The path basically doesn't look that bad behind me, but the path has basically been a river, so you just walk right through it. Like I said, I'm guessing that was almost a dry creek bed 45 minutes ago. It absolutely poured. And of course it was the last hour of the day. I'm like 0.2 to the shelter, so it's back up that way. So that will do it. Very soggy, wet, and today 79.